woke up about midnight and I could smell the smoke.
I hear people yelling, "Fire, get out, fire."
Everything was just, it was an inferno. 2 people died.
In October 2017, one of the deadliest fires in California history struck Journey's End Mobile Home Park in Santa Rosa. A year later, survivors gathered to remember those who died.
Amazing what a year can do, huh? Yeah. Didn't look like this a year ago. Journey's End was a seniors park. You had to be 55 or older to live there. Most of them had been there for a while. They were close-knit. They were together. They were a family.
I really miss each and every one of you guys. And you know what? It'll probably never be the same.
I'm so happy to see everybody. It has been a year-long hardship for me.
More than 100 homes burned to the ground, but it could have been more. Priest Morgan was on the front line.
During the fire, the firemen were off in the woods fighting the fires, and that left the city of Santa Rosa to our local law enforcement, and they did a hell of a job.
So did you, Priest.
Morgan helped save 44 homes, but he never imagined the trouble that would arise.
Amen.
Between 3:15 and 3:30 in the morning, I believe, is when this picture was taken. I was where this first little orange spot is, right about there, by myself. Didn't think I was going to get any help, but when the battalion chief realized that there were 44 homes still sitting there untouched by fire, and that by having them catch fire would actually put Kaiser Hospital in jeopardy and more than likely would have caused Kaiser Hospital to burn to the ground, then he sent me some help and we were able to hold Sahara Street.
The homes were saved, but the park's utilities were destroyed, and residents aren't allowed to move back in.
I put all my savings into that house and paid for it outright. So it kind of ticks me off that, it's being held hostage.
Teresa Udall is 84 years old.
So I've been paying taxes and insurance in a house that I can't even live in. Look at security.
She lived at Journey's End for decades.
Wow, this looks like a graveyard now. This was our pool down at the end. We just loved that pool.
The residents of Journey's End who have homes still standing are in a significant predicament. Number one, they have had trouble getting assistance from FEMA. Number two, they've had a very hard time getting access to their insurance policies because their insurance companies are claiming that they do not cover the loss because it is excluded due to the fact that it resulted from a government action, quote unquote, not from the fire.
In other words, the state government closed the park, but insurance won't pay them for the loss, keeping residents in limbo and paying out of pocket.
Well, when I found out my house was still standing, I was elated because I thought, oh, I can just come home.
So when I come, I like to kind of check some of the places here.
I had created a life that I could afford to live on disability. It was very enraging because I just wanted to be able to come to my home and be, have access to my home, and I felt like my home was being held hostage.
Well, I was looking at that board there. See how it's droopy? So
for me, coming here is almost like going to visit someone that you just a beloved, like your beloved grandmother or your beloved partner that they've had a stroke, and you go to see them and they look fine, but there's no energy there anymore. There's no life within them. It's just set and left idle, and this house is just slowly deteriorating.
I often tell people, you know, you suffered the loss and you thought to yourself, that was horrible. Thank God we're alive. Now let's move forward. And then you met your insurance adjuster. The process that people go through trying to get their money from their insurance adjusters and their insurance companies is legitimately an ongoing re-traumatization.
Yvonne Rawhauser says she's been struggling for a year to prove her house was damaged enough to receive a full payout.
Well, today we're having the electrician come from that's representing the insurance company, seeing the fires reached about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, that the interior wiring of my home has been basically invalidated. They don't want to just take my word for it, and so they want to come and actually test it. You know, they're waging war, and it's just, you know, it's obvious that, you know, no one can live here.
Her insurance denied any responsibility for coverage beyond some broken windows. As the residents continue to battle their insurance companies, the property owner is trying to find a different solution. There are plans to build an apartment complex that would offer housing to the displaced, but it could be years until they can move in.
We don't have housing in our community like Journey's End anymore. We don't have an alternative place for these people to go to pay the same level of rent that they were paying there. It simply doesn't exist.
So I went from about 800 square feet down to, I'd say, maximum 300 square feet.
Vietnam veteran Steve Morrow is among the displaced, still footing the bill on a house he can't live in. But he can't find another place to move it.
I'm retired. I want my own place. I want to live my days out in a place that's mine with my dog. There's nowhere for me to move my home. I could, you know, there's other people who are in the same position. They don't have the money to rent somewhere.
While fires continue to rage across the state, the folks at Journey's End are still trying to figure out how to move forward.
People don't really think this is going to happen to them, when in reality, the occurrence of disasters is only increasing.
Stella!
I'm doing all right. Good. So how you been?
Working, busy.
Yeah? Stella, remember your
Morgan
porch?
stays in touch with his
Used
neighbors.
to lay out here and bark at the dogs as they go by.
I come over and visit.
Oh man, it was like...
It feels like I did something wrong, and obviously, no, I did something right. So why do I feel like I did something wrong? Because of my friends, my family, these people that I cared about are suffering. And half a dozen of them said they'd been better off had their homes burned. And they were so without hope anymore that, you know, maybe dying would be better. I've never known a fireman to ever regret saving somebody's house, but I'm just about there.
Priest, I love you. But if I was here and I knew what I know now, I would have said, let it burn.